Mhm.
Thing is, a lot of Aaron's Wolsey conservatism, I think, is just a bunch of the collectivism that a bunch of the left haven't really accepted. Like, whilst I think he's overzealous in wanting authoritarianism, or at least like soft authoritarianism. You know, like I disagree with a lot of that kind of stuff that he pushes, but a lot of what he says is just kind of basic collectivist social contract stuff that a bunch of the left have just kind of left behind. Which, I mean, a lot of this is just symptomatic of growing up under neoliberalism, right? Not having the kind of reverence for the kind of collectivist understanding of society that we need to be able to sell the left as the way of creating that new social contract that the right keep pushing for, you know? I also like that there's a diversity of opinion on Novara. I mean, it is funny that I basically just take like the majority opinion of what the Novara audience want, unless it's Ukraine, in which case people hate me. But on most political issues, people just seem to agree with me on everything on Novara, which I guess is fine. Like, yeah, I'm going to accept the people that agree with me on most things that aren't Ukraine, but I think that having an electoral alliance would be fine. But at the time of recording, the Green Party is an existing party with existing infrastructure and existing councillors and existing MPs and existing funding and existing internal democracy, and all of the stuff at your party is just doesn't exist at all yet. So one of these is more serious than the other at time of recording. We shall see what it ends up being. This is all obviously still got 4 years to be able to form into something, but we have local elections coming in 8 months, whatever it is, 7 months, 8 months until the next set of locals, and a fledgling new party that will. I can only see acting as a spoiler in that case, because it won't have enough time between now and the local elections to be able to have the infrastructure necessary to be able to compete in these seats properly that the Green Party does. I think that if there's going to be some goodwill between these two, I think that the new party should wait until after the local elections so that the Green Party can have a shot at using its existing campaigning base with its existing infrastructure to be able to try and hit as hard a hammer blow to the Labour Party as we can at these local elections, and then use that as a base. But I think we should have more debates. I mean, I would hope the new studio and stuff will allow enough of us to have those more debates, which would be cool. But no, the Novara audience, YouTube enjoyer, like the audience of Novara are very anti-Ukraine. I'm not. I don't buy any of their arguments. A lot of their stuff is based upon misinformation or hack logic or political inconsistencies or campism. Like, again, I don't disagree with the criticisms of Ukraine's government and Ukraine as a country, but all the defenses that I've heard, every single one, for how the invasion was uniquely the West's fault, how Russia can't be blamed for their own actions, or for the reasons for Yanukovych's being deposed in Ukraine. Like, I've heard all the arguments. I've heard every single one coming from a neutral position who didn't really know much about this, has been learning on the fly. I've been convinced by literally none of them. None of them have been convincing to me. More debates, but not with trigonometry, culture, or dicks. Just not relevant. I agree, 100%. I didn't know that, Ruth. Yeah, it's really simple. Russia invaded a sovereign country. Nobody made them do it. They may have been antagonized. I'm fully willing to admit that they've been antagonized, but that's not an excuse, right? That's not an excuse to invade a foreign country. It just isn't. I'm sorry. Like, routine versus bangers and mash. I just don't like cheese curds left in the box. Sorry, I just don't like cheese curds at all. Actually, to be fair, chips, cheese, and gravy, not for cheese curds, but cheese itself is very, very popular in the north of the UK. In the north of the UK, and I don't like that either. Right? There is already enough fat in the gravy. I do not need to add cheese. Chips and gravy. Believe I'm all over chips and gravy. I'm all over chips and gravy. All over it. I love that. Was a staple of my post night out diet when I was at university 15 years ago. Chips and gravy, love it. I do not need any extra fat content on my chips and gravy. I've not, Anna. We will watch that tomorrow, though. That sounds very funny. Chips and curry sauce is better. I mean, depends what curry sauce, right? Getting, like, when I was at university, on campus, there was a branch of the local curry house. So I went into university in Lancaster, and there was a branch of the local curry house called the Sultans of Lancaster, on the university campus. So when you got chips and curry from the Sultans after a night out at university, when you got back to your halls, right, they would put like actual curry sauce from the curry house on the chips, which was incredible. Literally nothing can beat getting big chunky chips on like proper curry house curry sauce, like actual masala sauce, on chips at 3 a.m. Unbeatable. Quite literally unbeatable. If we're talking about like the fucking yellow brown slop that people call curry sauce, that's made out of powder, that's mixed in 5 minutes, that tastes like shit, no, I do not like that curry sauce. And I would call chips and gravy infinitely superior. But the peak late night chippy meal for me was when I used to get like chips with proper masala sauce at 3 a.m. from the Sultans in Lancaster. It was incredible. It was absolutely incredible. I've not tried Quebecois poutine, no. I'm not usually a Madras fan. If I get a curry, I'm a Buna or a Danzak enjoyer. I don't like katsu either. Big Danzak enjoyer. We stand a Danzak enjoyer. Anyway, I'm going to do a Raiderino as it's now gone past midnight, and I am tired. And my phone is running out of battery anyway because it's the new one that I got. I'll be back tomorrow. More content. We'll probably watch that West Streeting political currency interview, which will definitely not be miserable. Patia is good. I do like that. I'm going to raid out now. I'm going to send you into Left Reckoning over on YouTube. Go and subscribe. That's an order. To get some free subscribe to Left Reckoning. It's Matt and David from the Majority Report. I'll raid you into Very Nice TV, who seems very nice. He's watching some Democracy Now! Stuff over on Twitch. Take care, stay safe.
Seems to be taking a while to. So put a bit of chat there actually. Settings. Sound. Next one. There we go. Oh God, where's the other one? Ah, look, it's over there. You go there. Is there anybody out there? Yes, there is. Great Joyce comrades. James Holmes is here. Hi, James. Welcome, welcome. I'll see if any more people come in. I'll go and get my phone over so I can check my YouTube chat. You got a minute. Oh, motherfucker. Oh my God. Oh, it's emotes. Just wondering what's happening there. One thing, yes, the volume is down. One mini set this up, so can I just go to my actual live channel? Oh, I'll present it to my own here actually. That'll do. Yeah, there we go. Search. YouTube Studio. Installed. Ah, buffering. Open. Thank you. God, I'm a bit hot. Yep, that one. Yes, allow. Started. Allow. Haha. Hello, hello. Content. Community? Where am I? Yes, I do sleep. There we go. Yeah. Where am I? Content? Where am I? Give me my chat. Yeah. Go to my channel. There we go. Haha. Whoa, that is a lot of emotes. Thank you, James. You can sit there because you're now charging. Didn't get you fully charged, but fuck it. Hang on a second, I'll just get myself all sorted. Yeah. Haha. Hello. Right, if we cannot hear, if you cannot hear it, because I hear it through this, we all need to do some little changes. Oh, no, wrong way round. Oh, we will see. We will wait until people start coming into the Twitch chat, into the Twitch. Praise be. It is SK the Crusader video. 16 days old. When I start playing this, you'll see it. I am a channel member for Sinan, because Sinan is awesome, obviously. If you haven't already, go and follow SK the Crusader. Rejoice, comrades. Sozzled Snake is here. Hello, Sozzled. Welcome, welcome. A pleasure, as always. SK is pretty cool. And he is relatively near to where Helena lives. Is he actual Nottingham? I think he might be in actual Nottingham. I have been to Nottingham 15 years ago. My mum's best friend used to live in Nottingham. She's back home in Grantham now. My mum's friend, but my mum still lives up in Perth, obviously, but one of her friends lives down there. Oh, God damn it. I do so love those Kev ones. A couple of Helena ones. Fucking hell. I'll fix you. So, Nightbot, you are annoying. Yes, eternal enemies, apparently. If anyone comes in while we're playing this, we'll just go back to the beginning for them, unless they've already seen it. Take it away, Sinan. Please just make it stop. Can everyone hear SK? If we cannot, I will change over. I will put the speakers back on. And I will watch the video on my phone. Don't worry about it, Sozzles. I don't know how I managed it the last time, so what we will do. I don't know how I managed it the last time because I had everything set. Oh, do I have to set them both? Let's try again. You hear them? Yeah, it knackered them. They are worth watching, even though they are quite long. But yes, and obviously he's done ways now. Can we hear him now? If we cannot, I will change it again, and I'll need to lose my I will need to lose my Twitch chat.
That means you have that would just verify that you were over 18. Like at that point, just buy a magazine, right? Now, as funny as it is to imagine, this was a component of a planned policy for way longer than it should have been. This speaks to a bigger issue, which is that politicians and the people advising them don't know anything about how anything works. We'll be pulling on that thread multiple times in this video. Will it surprise you to know that? I don't know. Another example that I think is relevant here, given the website's impacted already by this, is the long-running issue of politicians wanting to make online anonymity illegal. I did a video about this a long time ago, feel free to check that out, but it's an old video, it's a very different presentation style. But the main point here is that politicians who want this are wrong. They're also largely motivated by a resentment towards social media, allowing direct criticism of them, which they have often conflated with abuse. That's not to say that some members of parliament don't have legitimate grievances. Often excluded from these discussions is Diane Abbott, the MP who in 2017 got 50% of all abuse.
Right, we'll go back to the Yay! Can your lass be heard? If we can hear Sinan and we can hear me, I'm happy. Oh, the green's mostly gone now. You did have green here at one point, by the way. I'll leave the subtitles on just for ease for people, in case people don't understand any of the words he has to use. And it's also good for me because I can digest it more.
If you live in the UK, you've probably noticed some interesting restrictions that appear on certain websites now, demanding that you verify your age. That's because the 2023 Online Safety Act has come into force and has predictably become such a fiasco that now Wikipedia might be blocked or have limited access in.
She's a kind of left-leaning black woman. Yeah, the amount of abuse she has got since 1987, absolutely fucking ridiculous. Good for her for lasting this long. So what's that? 97, 07, 17, 38, 38 years. Could I survive 38 years in Westminster? Probably not. Could I survive 38 years in Holyrood? Probably not, but probably longer than I'd be able to last in Westminster. Yeah, she was, what's in 87? 83 for Corbyn. Not allowed to mention that to my sister. That's the year she was born. So what's that? 42 years. And obviously he's been in politics before that. So I don't know how they could survive, the pair of them, really.
The UK. Wikipedia recently
Well done them,
lost
though.
a challenge in the courts against the law. Between this and the other types of obvious problems this law has, both in its text and in its implementation, I have some questions
Yeah.
and I have some thoughts. I'm going to do my best
We all
to
have
bring you up to
questions,
speed
Simmons.
if you are fortunate enough to live outside of the UK, and God, do I think you're fortunate at the moment, and to help all of us understand the political background.
No, come on. In some ways, we are kind of lucky that we live here, SK. That's why people like us exist. To challenge this narrative, and to literally challenge this stupid arse law. Seriously, fucking make it make sense, chat, please.
That led to this, and why that makes everything about this law even worse. Which might surprise you, but it is actually possible for this to be worse, which is surprising when a law has a petition with over 500,000 signatures asking for it to be repealed. It will be of no surprise to you if you live in the
Your lass has signed that. It directly affects me and this entire enterprise I've got going on here. And because it is messing with the actual physical streaming thing, the actual streaming of this being on a VPN is making it buffer a lot more, which is rather tedious trying to get that fixed or just deal with it. Paid up member Scotch Green have been for over a year now because eco-socialist. But yeah, I put my name down for your party. Because she finished quite shortly after I posted that in the chat, well, just before she started on that news about the Sun and about people boycotting it. Rejoice, comrades, some random geek. They do be lurking in the void. Watch out for the tardigrades geek. Hello, welcome, as always. Go and follow some random geek. I don't know if you've changed over yet or not. Last seen playing Borderlands 2. My nephew plays that. Plus a couple of other things, Fortnite and COD games. Myself and his dad have managed to get him to play the first ever Call of Duty. God, it's been fucking years. He says, and you have to play like this. Yeah, that was the whole point, my dude. I played it on my laptop that I had when I went to uni.
UK, but the government's response to the petition is no. There's been a pretty long-running, low-scale drama playing out about the role of the internet in people's lives, and most crucially, for politicians and journalists, how that impacts our society. This has led to some interesting, if we're going to be polite about it, propositions about changing the way the internet...
No, SK, fuck being polite. I'm not pandering to them anymore. Obviously, I've not. The last time I voted Labour was in '97, and that's when I was living in Clydebank. That was the first and last time I voted for Labour. All the other ones for Westminster, it has been SNP. Oh, get to fucking... My hair keeps molting.
Internet is regulated and what should be required to do or say certain things. A particularly comical example that didn't come into force, but is somewhat related to the main topic here, is that there was a plan suggested to require over 18s to purchase a physical token in order to access adult content. Like, you would have to go to your local off license and buy some kind of object that means you have that would just verify that you were over 18. Like, at that point, just buy a magazine, right? Now, as funny as it is,
when that came out, I fucking laughed. I was in bloody stitches. Yeah, what? Yeah, you're easier just buying well, top rack, as it's called, because of top. All these funny colloquialisms, really. People literally, I don't know if they're literally pissing themselves, but literally doubled over in laughter with that one. Or another one, banning VPNs. No. I will do it. I will just constantly time you out for 10 minutes at a time, Nightbot. I've changed the settings. I know I fucking changed the settings because I was sitting up here while Super Hubby was reading. And he was asking me, what are you doing? I'm changing the moderation, the content moderation for my stream. Because Nightbot is annoying. This is how Skynet starts. Correct.
To imagine this was a component of a planned policy for way longer than it should have been. This speaks to a bigger issue, which is that politicians and the people advising them don't know anything about how anything works. We'll be pulling on that thread multiple times in this video. Will it surprise you to know that? I don't know. Another example that I think is relevant here, given the website's impacted already by this, is the long-running issue of politicians wanting to make online anonymity illegal. I did a video about this a long time ago, feel free to check that out, but it's an old video, it's a very different presentation style. But the main point here is that politicians who want this are wrong. They're also largely motivated by a resentment towards social media, allowing direct criticism of them, which they have often conflated with abuse. That's not to say that some members of parliament don't have legitimate grievances. Often excluded from these discussions is Diane Abbott, the MP who in 2017 got 50% of all abuse sent to female MPs, who was also on the record as supporting the end of online anonymity because of all the racist abuse she gets. Now, she's still wrong to want this, but she's wrong for the right reason, if that makes sense. My simple proposition to anyone who thinks ending online anonymity would fix this problem is that they need to explain why Facebook, which requires real names, is like that. It also once again betrays a lack of understanding of how this all works, but we'll leave it there. You understand where I'm coming from. The internet and restrictions or impositions upon users and websites have been discussed over and over again, and the prevailing consensus has become something must be done, which, as we all know, means that something, even if it's really unworkable and total nonsense, is likely going to be done. Speaking of total nonsense, let's try to figure out what the stated intent.
Once it's done, I try to every so often. Obviously finding out who's going to be getting questions. But I'd be able to do it live, bring it up, watch it, and I'd be reacting to it live. I usually do it if I was going to stream during the day, it probably would be like an hour or maybe 2 hours after PMQs, so I could go through it myself and see if there's any particularly good questions. And most of them dull as fuck, as you can tell. I'm trying to react to the briefcase of briefcases, answering questions from someone who probably won't survive much longer. Because oh God, Kemi, this little break from them all, especially for PMQs, we do need it, obviously. Glad they do have their jollies. Do you need it? Apparently some of them are human. Some of them. What I was thinking of doing as well was tuning into Scottish questions. So that'd be Ian Murray getting asked questions from the other Scottish MPs, whatever ones they are. So that would be quite fun. Is that Wednesdays or Thursdays? I can't remember when Scottish questions is. Oh God, no, it won't be on Thursday because that's when we get First Ministers. There's another idea. First Minister's questions. Oh God. John Swinney, I have the deepest sympathy for you. I really do, but you are kind of dull. You can hold me to this. I think he's going to step down. We already know that Kate Forbes isn't standing again, so this is the last time we will be seeing Kate Forbes. Obviously, Manfrog and his merry band of fucking lunatics who don't even have a fucking office set up here last time I checked, which was a couple of weeks ago. I will need to check to see if they've actually got an office set up here in Scotland somewhere. They did have one here in Glasgow. Got closed because they never paid their fucking rent. Naughty, naughty reform. You have to pay your parasite. Frat Farage. I like that. Ooh. That might be a good sound alert. Frat Farage. Or Piss Off Manfrog. Just a standard one. I don't think that would get struck, really. I keep on meaning to set up a soundboard for Twitch, because that might be quite fun. And obviously, clip me, and we can find other ones that politicians say that are just completely idiotic or bullish or whatever. Because they keep on saying a variety of shit that just makes us either laugh or want to scream into the void. I think my favourite one now would be for my own sound alert. Do fucking Tidal! So we'll be screaming that into the void quite a lot, really. Thank you, Sozold. Always a pleasure. And I love that you help me out and stuff. Any ideas for the stream, post them in the Discord or post them in the chat whenever you're here. Say goodnight to Sozold, everyone. I will catch you later. Oh my God. Should I cover the party conferences? I've got family members going to oh God. I'd love to be able to get to the green one. It's in October, by the way, and it's through in Edinburgh. It's University of Edinburgh campus, so easy enough to get to. Obviously, I can just jump a bus, just travel along the M8, and get over to it. I will let you know because I'd be buying the tickets next month. If people think I should go to the conference, let me know. NASA Frog? Before you head off, you can maybe post it into the Discord and I can check it out, maybe bring it up on stream. No, I have not heard of NASA Frog. If you think I'd enjoy reading it or commenting on it, post it in the Discord. That would be amazing. Thank you, Sozzled. Any other news, health news, and things of that nature as well? Obviously, there's channels there you can do. Feel free to put anything in the cursed food section as well, because there's plenty of that going about.
Behind this bill was, I went looking through Hansard because I'm such a cool person, and it turns out this was interesting.
I knew you'd be doing this, SK, and I said to you, I'm the one that goes to Hansards for my own for my stream as well, just to see what sort of please, if anyone wants to find out what actually gets said in the fucking place in the chamber, come to me. I'm the one that checks Hansard's because it is dull as fuck, and being able to parse what they're actually saying. Anything that gets said in the fucking place gets recorded by Hansard's. I go and check it because I'm a political nerd and I've got lots of time on my hands. Do not go and check Hansard's unless you really want to. Trust me, it is. Some of it is quite difficult to understand, but we have legal friends, obviously. We've got Kieran. He probably checks Hansard's, but that being his professional capacity. Just checking Hansard's is mind-numbingly boring at times, or the political language is, as you can tell, it's spoken by politicians. If anyone wants me to check anything about any legislation that's going through the fucking place, just come to me and I'll go and check Hansard's.
Produced by Nadine Dorries, which maybe goes some way to explaining why this is such a fiasco. When she introduced this law at the second reading, she said that this was part of fulfilling the Conservatives' manifesto promise to make the UK the safest place in the world to be online, especially for children. This is a powerful line that immediately disarms a lot of potential criticism, which is why it survived multiple changes.
Parental controls already exist. So if the parents, it should be the parents' job, by the way, to content moderate on their telephonic device or anything else like laptop, tablet, PC of many different kinds. That's what parents' job is. That's what they're meant to do, not the fucking government, because it'll hit all of us. I didn't know it was her. God's sake, Nadine, just leave us the fuck alone. Plus, there's YouTube. You have to be over a certain age to get onto fucking Twitter and Blue Sky and certain groups on Facebook and blah, 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 blah. So, and even if there isn't, that's what parents are for. Obviously, my sister doesn't need to worry. Well, it'd be difficult for her to actually do that because both of my nephews are in their late teens now, so they're, in the eyes of the law, they're adults now.
Of both Secretary of State and Prime Minister. Because let's be honest with each other, who wants to be on the record as wanting to make children less safe? Which gave the law a lot of cover to be maximalist in ways that it might not otherwise have been if it was subjected to basic, informed scrutiny prior to being passed, or if the opposition had felt any need to actually construct a basic understanding of these issues without fear of being called, well, we'll see in a second, but you can probably imagine what opponents of the law have been called. An example is Peter Kyle, and yes, that is his name, and I am aware of what it sounds like, accusing Reform leader Nigel Farage of being on the side of Jimmy Savile and predators.
Oh, I'll just take them off for a second. Right, this is from Manfrog, or Nigel Farage. Both of them. Well, obviously they're both MPs, so, and he's a minister. Peter Kyle's comments on Sky News are disgusting. He should do the right thing and apologise. If you want to overturn the Online Safety Act, you're on the side of predators. It's as simple as that. Fuck off, Kyle. No, we're not. This Online Safety Act is coming after all of us, including adults, who can make their own decisions. Apparently, you're infantilizing every last one of us in the country doing this. And whatever fucking lunatic suggested banning VPNs, you won't be able to do that unless you get rid of the Human Rights Act. Thank you. But case in point, that's what Farage wants to do now. We will get on to that document Kev read earlier on. I've got a couple of things to say. So we will do this one first from SK because it is good. Carry on, Sinan. Carry on.
Opposing this law. Now, don't get me wrong, Nigel Farage and Reform are being completely transparent opportunists here. That's still an absolutely absurd escalation that illustrates the power of that line. The accusations even said that he was on the side of extreme pornographers, which, yeah, that kind of makes Nigel Farage sound really cool, actually. But also, this is the reason why I don't take this seriously. It's not just that, as we'll see, this doesn't protect children and that there are open admissions that this wasn't about protecting children. Like, I challenge anyone in support of this law to explain why someone should have to scan their ID or face to listen to Spotify. I'm sorry, I'm just not buying it. The fact is, the government is trying to force this through because of the ultimate truth. No one wants to be the political wing of jerking off. It's just not a good position to be in politically, and to be honest, there are a lot of jokes to be made about Farage becoming that. I'll leave that to the centrists, though. All of those clever centrist parody accounts, they can go and have fun with that, because as much as he's a bigoted, opportunist scam artist who doesn't really care about this issue, his opposition to this act is the correct position. He's right about it, but for the wrong reason. Because none of this really works, and it was super predictable that it would turn out to be unworkable bullshit. Let's be honest, the Online Safety Act is a farce. It's not just that it doesn't work, it can't work. It's not really enforceable, it's open to ludicrous levels of interpretation by platforms whose responsibility it is to enforce this law, lest they face a very significant fine. And the parts the government is really interested in,
because of this, this and No Justice and Kev's and also Sinan's, President Sunday, Suze Kempner, anyone that actually streams into the UK or streams from the UK. Like, who else can I mention? Who is based here? So me, Kev, Helena, Sinan. Who else have we got? Suze Kempner on Twitch, Katie Montgomery. If they feel threatened, thinking that they're going to get fined by the British government, they'll just fucking end this. I'll get nuked from orbit by them because they don't want to get fined. I've set everything up now because of this to be not for children. So if you're under the age of 18, 16, 18? Is it 18? I can't remember, it's either 16 or 18. You cannot come here. Because that was an added risk for us. So that's now changed. I would want teenagers, especially since they're going to be getting the vote. Please do not forget that. So these are in contradicting to each other. Like I keep on saying, make it make sense. They want the they want 16 and 17-year-olds to have the vote. But then they bring in this legislation. Just what?
are grotesque violations of people's privacy. How does this happen? Because to me, it's one thing if a law has a sound understanding of the technicalities and is passed, and then it turns out there are flaws and loopholes and misapplications of that law and so on. That's fixable. It's embarrassing for the government that passed it and the one that's implementing it, but you could almost look at that as a well-intentioned, informed mistake and sort of go, yeah, that happens sometimes. We're not monsters. We understand these things. Instead, what we have is a law that doesn't work on every level, both in stated intent and in what I suspect its true intent was. The obvious reason this happens is that members of parliament are just not informed people. Westminster, both in the Commons and the Lords, draws upon a particular type and class of person disproportionately, and partisan loyalty is ruthlessly enforced. So even if a member of parliament understood the issues, it doesn't matter. There's an Evan Edinger, sorry, don't know which way that goes, video where he talks about
Edinger. He's UK based. He's American. He was born and brought up in New Jersey. Sorry, Evan, are you in New Jersey? I think he's New Jersey. That's where he was born and brought up. But he lives and works here in the UK now. Evan is quite good. I quite like Evan. I'm going to have to pay for a better VPN, I believe, so it doesn't the buffering doesn't get too bad. I don't currently have it on because it's the free version. It's the Proton VPN I've got. Keep on meaning of it. Well, I set up the email as well. That help? Suppose having another email might be a good idea. But yeah. Oh, we're going to that one. So it's nearly a fortnight old. How long is it? Slightly over 20 minutes.
the Online Safety Act that I quite liked. For my purposes, I draw your attention to the section where he talks about MPs trying to explain how VPNs work. I'll drop a link in the description. That really illustrates the depth of the challenge of getting MPs to understand how these things work. Now, it's not just this, because this law is deliberately vague and deliberately empowers platforms for reasons we'll get into, but if we're taking politicians at their word and we're accepting the premise that this is about making children safer, let's see if that holds water with how we know the Act works. Let's return to the issue of VPNs. Don't worry, this is not a segue into an ad. No one is foolish enough to sponsor me. If you've watched a YouTube video in the past 5
Oh, I've just right because I've got the speaker set up and this. I better take these off. I will be back momentarily, comrades. Look at Sinnan's lovely face while I'm gone. I won't be long. Minutes. I'll be back. Hello. I'll just take that off so I don't yell so much. Carry on, Sunan.
Years, you know how a VPN works well enough. It allows you to conceal where you're accessing a website from. So if you're from Britain, you can appear as if you're from a country that doesn't have weirdly draconian restrictions on the internet. If you wanted to get a VPN, by my estimate, it'd take around 5 to 6 clicks and a well-targeted search to install one, meaning you could easily circumvent any restrictions. We'll pivot back to how trivial this is in a bit, but for now let's consider the reaction to this obvious issue. In opposition, when the law was being passed by the Tories, Labour did suggest banning VPNs. The idea died almost as soon as it was uttered, I suspect because tech sector lobbyists screamed at them, but we don't know that for sure, so we'll have to leave it. In the wake of the law's ham-fisted implementation, this idea has been floated again by the Children's Commissioner for England, and we've had ministers pleading with the public to not use VPNs. If the information about how often they've been searched for is accurate, I'm going to go ahead and suggest that the British public are not doing the government that favour. All of this while MPs are paying for VPNs on expenses. It's a bit rich to accuse the British public of being dangerous to children because they want to avoid scanning their faces or their IDs for a dodgy verification company to analyse, especially in the wake of a number of incidents around children's safety that have occurred in the Labour Party. For example, it has ranged from ex-MPs to sitting councillors to senior members of staff for the Health Secretary to members of the Scottish Parliament, all the way to currently sitting members of Parliament, not to mention the party leader's own perceived record on this matter not being entirely unblemished, depending on how you interpret his time at the Crown Prosecution Service. It can't be any surprise that a government that lacks authority in general and specifically on children's safety is being roundly ignored, especially when they're proposing something that's technically impossible without disrupting the entire economy. So many systems rely on VPNs of some kind, and sure, the government could make a carve-out for legitimate use, but do we believe that they'll manage that without fucking it into the sun? Just think about that for a second.
I'm doubtful.
Let's sort of ignore the specific technical aspects of it and just think about it on a basic practical level, because most people are not elbow deep into being good at technology. I say this as someone with a job in tech. Most people only reliably know what they need to know to do what they want. If you don't know what to do, you'll just find a way to do it. And I think we're underestimating children and the general public here, which I find especially odd because there are members of Parliament who are around my age, younger even, if you can believe it, and they must have had the classic IT class experience of getting...
Rejoice, comrades. John the Brazen is here. Hi, John. Now. I've seen you in SK's chat, so don't be a naughty. Yes, SK's really good. This is by the Online Safety Act. But yes, he is good being. He is good people. We stand SK here. And yes, he is correct. He works in tech, so he would know how to use VPNs. I don't know if he goes into an office or not, must admit. I assume he does. I would assume he does. But yes, Sinan is good people. Carry on, Sinan.
Around all of the filters to play Flash games. Okay, I gave away my age there, but you know what? It's not really a secret at this point. But you understand what I mean. Why are we assuming that children won't find it trivially easy to get around this stuff? If they want to look at something, watch something, access something, and they're determined to do it, then they will do it. An interesting example of where these restrictions failed is in Turkey, where they implemented much more draconian and harsh restrictions blocking websites entirely. And I can tell you, as someone who spent a lot of time there, everyone knew how to get around it. My grandmother knew how to get around it. Like, that's how commonplace this knowledge was. I've seen ways to get around age verification that frankly astonished me in how weak these verification systems were. From fake IDs, using the Prime Minister's face, to using the character creator in video games to dupe the facial recognition. It strikes me as obvious that people will just find a way to access what they want or what they're habitually accessing. When that becomes too much of an encumbrance, then it forces people to look to dangerous solutions. For example, not...
My mum, in no way, shape or form, probably round about the same age as SK's granny. My mum in no way, shape or form is techie at all. They all come to me. I've since said, or mum goes to her grandsons, because they be teenagers and they have used VPNs to play online in competitions for Fortnite and COD games and shit like that. So they came to me, mum's came to me, said, so how do I set this up? She pays for Sky. So she's got an online account and stuff, things like that. Said you should get one with your provider. Or you can pay for these ones. I would say avoid these because you'd be funding the genocide, essentially, with these companies here. And I said, pick one of those ones and I can set it up for you, or get my niece. They are techies as well. They help update their friends and stuff. Rejoice, comrades! Mod extraordinaire, Shanna Cranky Pants. They be lurking in the void. Say hello to some random geek, my darling, and watch out for the tardigrades. Yeah, I haven't shelled myself. Maybe I should do that after this video. Hello, darling. This is SK the Crusader. He be British. Oh, thank you, Canary. I'll check that later. Thank you. Oh, and if you haven't already, people go and follow the Canary. Curtis used to work for them. Yeah, he used to work for the Canary. The Canary are good. They have brilliant news stories. So, to www.thecanary.co.uk. They be leftist, mostly. Yeah. Closing my eyes again. Carry on, SK.
All VPNs are created equal. Some harvest your data. Some make extravagant promises that could compel you to lower your guard online. But none of this would be relevant, or at least it'd be less of an issue if the UK government hadn't created a boom market for this. We're now faced with the choice between potentially compromising our security one way in order to circumvent an unjust law, or almost certainly doing it if we obey it and want to use the internet as we've always done up to now. To say nothing of how this is forcing people who want to access content onto websites that maybe don't comply with British law at all. We run the risk of pushing people into more and more dangerous and risky situations, especially children, all because this government and the last one really didn't care about children's safety. There has been a chilling effect that's amounted to the policing of adults and their political activity, which some believe, I think naively, is an unintended consequence. To me, from where I sit, and from the ways this political debate has evolved over the past decade, maybe longer, it's deliberate. By now it's pretty obvious this isn't about the children. There was an article in the Times that pretty much torpedoed this, and while I'm loath to quote the Times, I did find this particular quote taken from a High Court judgment interesting and relevant to it all. The quote was that the law was about regulating services that have a significant influence over public discourse. In other words, this is about policing adults and not children, as I said earlier, especially when part of this has been about online trolls, who could be children, but given how broad the definition of troll has become in British political parlance, it's probably just your average 37-year-old frustrated office worker telling an MP they're shit at their job, which, in fairness, they usually are. In fact, speaking of MPs who are bad at their job, Labour MP Emily Darlington, which I cannot believe is a real name, did us all a favour and posted her article in The Telegraph onto Blue Sky as a series of screenshots where the headline invoked the idea of parents' peace of mind. And before we get into how ridiculous her arguments are here, with almost none of it having anything to do with activities covered by the Online Safety Act, this raised an eyebrow for me. Setting aside the tension that can exist between children's safety and parents' peace of mind, I just struggle to find this at all credible. A law that's forcing both adults and children to act in more dangerous ways to engage in their normal day-to-day activity shouldn't give parents peace of mind, especially in the context of a government that's betting the house on AI to fix everything. I find it really interesting that recently there's been an incident of an AI chatbot trying to engage in inappropriate activities with a user it believed was 14 years old, using John Cena's voice. Which, if I was John Cena, maybe I'd be considering my life choices at this point. Just a thought, you know? I bring this up because Peter Kyle, the minister responsible for implementing the Online Safety Act and who's been out trying to defend it, is big into AI. In fact, if you look at his register of interest, you can find multiple entries where he's had staff seconded to him from AI-related firms or AI-positive firms. Now, might these staff have had some kind of impact on his decisions related to AI and regulating it, and what parts of the internet he regulates, and what parts he adopts a laissez-faire attitude to? I'll leave that to your judgment, because you don't need me to handhold you to that conclusion. Also, it's interesting that he's received donations from the Tony Blair Institute, named after a guy who's famously big into mandatory ID. I'm not saying anything once again, just pointing it out. He's also a guy, as I recall, who's big into AI. So, you know. It is nonetheless curious that the risks associated with AI chatbots and the like are not a central concern for a government whose members are seemingly in bed with the firms who are invested in it. I'm not saying that social media and the rest of the internet is risk-free, or that AI...
It isn't, obviously, we know this. Trolls do be out there. Trolls do come here sometimes. Or just idiots. Why do you think my frying pan exists? Metaphorical, of course. No violence. Please, no violence in my name, anyone. I beg of you. Just take them down using your words. The words are better because half the time we don't fucking get what we're saying. They don't understand what we're saying, and when we do, literally tell them, say, but you're attacking my freedom of speech. Fuck off. Doesn't mean we don't have a right of reply. We don't get to tackle you. A lot of them seem to forget that, spouting their fucking bollocks and lies and all the other nonsense that they keep on saying. No, I have the same freedom of speech as you do. I can counter anything that you fucking say to me. Do not test me. I'm getting more and more pissed off with this fucking government by the day. And I have nothing but time on my hands. I can do a wealth of research before you get up in the morning. Thank you. Obviously, Sinan, SK the Crusader would never do that. Like I said, Sinan is good people, and he does brilliant videos. He plays Crusader Kings on Twitch, on here.
Should be regulated necessarily in the same way as the Online Safety Act demands, because given how it's being forced into everything, how would you police AI like that, right? So excuse me if I'm possibly a little skeptical about this being about parents' peace of mind or children's safety, because it doesn't provide either, or it shouldn't provide peace of mind at the very least. In fact, one of the potential effects of this is that it can make age-appropriate resources and resources for parents potentially impossible to access, all for the sake of trying to give parents a way to avoid the difficult work of parenting. Now, there are resources out there, and the last time I checked, this was still accessible without any Online Safety Act nonsense. I would recommend Bish, run by a friend of the channel, Justin Hancock. Given the age demographics on the channel, I will provide a link to the resources he has for parents, while you can still access it from the UK. Make the most of it. Bish does provide an interesting case study. It's funded by patrons, much like this channel, but we'll get to that later as well. And it's a website that might fall victim to this if it's categorized in a certain way under the Act. I don't know that it could be accessible from the UK in that case. They certainly can't, with an income of £4,000 to £5,000 a year, afford third-party verification. These are resources that could actually help you as a parent get peace of mind and help children be safe. Instead, we're potentially hiding these resources and other resources that contribute to either people's enjoyment, information, or their health. This was never going to stop at adult content, and I say that with the biggest air quotes imaginable, or content that could be construed as adult. It was always going to be interpreted broadly. Every attempt to reshape the internet in this fashion has been, and to go back to a couple of examples I mentioned earlier, I don't see how that can be denied when I have to submit an ID to listen to Papa Roach, which I find offensive because there's no way anyone under 18 is listening to that band. So, can we please get our shit together, actually? Also, the Wikipedia issue looms large in my mind. It wasn't so long ago that censorship of Wikipedia was the preserve of tin pot dictators, not supposedly evolved liberal democratic societies. It's also hit addiction-related websites and forums, with some preferring to block certain functionality or the website entirely to UK users. This has led to one of the worst arguments from a government source I've ever seen. I'm going to read you the article as written. This official, who remained anonymous, was quoted saying that companies were being overzealous in their application of the law, perhaps intentionally, to undermine its credibility. Whose fault is that? Of course tech companies are going to be overzealous when you actually threaten them with substantial fines if you don't degrade their users.
We said this to them, and people in the tech industry who are not fucking wannabe tin-pot dictators, they will be overzealous because make line go up, make shareholders happy. They will just fucking nuke us from orbit instead of having to pay the fine because it's easier for them just to get rid of us. I will try and but if I say something and Twitch or YouTube get kind of skittish about it and just go, nope, banned, gone, your channel ended. Where's my freedom of speech in that? Obviously, well, no. Because they are going to be so overzealous with this and just get rid of us. Just no. Obviously, the private platforms, and we have to, the terms of service do exist. As it stands right now, I'm relatively safe. Relatively. They're not completely safe in case these companies decide, holy fuck, the British government are going to fine us. They'll just get rid of us. Make it easier. Obviously, they can afford to pay fines. Or they can put it on to us. We can end up paying them. I pay for Streamlabs Ultra as my streaming software to help get my message to get me live. But if Twitch decides that it's not worth it, and they'll just start getting rid of us all, delightful. Just because my government has worded this legislation so fucking vaguely, and Peter Kyle is a fucking moron. Which I will be keeping a close eye to make sure that they do not ban VPNs, because I don't think they'd be able to do that personally. But if they give it a fucking try, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, they'll just start losing lots of us. I am small enough that hopefully I might exist. But there's other bigger streamers here in the UK who might get targeted, and they'll just lose their platform because of this. Because the private companies get sketched and we'll go get fined and all that and just get rid of us. Thank you, British government. Still getting fucked over by the Tories, even though they're not. Well, technically, these are right-wing people that are in government now. They really shouldn't be called Labour. They're not Labour anymore.
Experience. You gave them an excuse to inshitify, and they took it because of course they did. I have no sympathy for this line of complaint. This is plainly the fault of both the government who passed the law and the government trying to implement it. Anyone could have told you that they would have done this, and yeah, I suspect it is to undermine the law's credibility, because the law is fucking shit. Everyone knew it. There was a reason the Tories kept delaying implementation. It's because they knew it was shit. If you have one of the largest working majorities in modern British history, you can amend or repeal the law, and then you don't have to deal with the companies deliberately undermining you. This has also empowered platforms who get to choose what content on their sites constitutes adult content, and it will be of no surprise to some of you that this has resulted in videos from Palestine and Ukraine being censored, which leads to an interesting set of contradictions. For example, if a 16-year-old wanted to, they could buy a newspaper or go to their websites and read about these events, perhaps including the images that are blocked. Now, you'll likely have the same thoughts as I do on this hypothetical, which is that the chance of a 16-year-old wanting to buy a newspaper or go to their website is pretty marginal. Why do I mention 16-year-olds here specifically? Well, that's because the government plans to give them the vote, which is fine. I support that. But it's rather interesting that the government has then handed this power to tech companies to censor, because it has resulted in not just the two most significant foreign policy issues in the UK being blocked from view, but also in the blocking of a video that tells people how to join the new left-wing party that's supposed to be formed soon, TM. Whole other thing, let's just leave that to one side for this moment. Which raises the question, how can we reconcile this notion that 16 and 17-year-olds are going to be enfranchised across the UK, but are also unable to see relevant news and information about political parties that are relevant to how they might vote? In fact, this censorship will likely extend to other places like Sudan and the DRC. I haven't heard of posts from there being censored, but how can we say they'll make an informed decision, or as informed a decision as the rest of the electorate, if fascist dickhead Elon Musk or whatever prick owns your social media platform of choice blocks whatever they think is inconvenient? We've quite literally handed tech companies a sledgehammer to crack a very, very small nut, and it's created a dissonant position with lots of obvious asymmetries that are impossible to justify. Speaking of an asymmetry that's impossible to justify, what you're seeing on screen right now is me not using a VPN, accessing a gambling website on the 20th of August. For those of you unaware, you need to be over 18 in order to gamble in the UK. As you can see, I can freely access the site browse freely, look at some odds for Filipino basketball, and just a whole host of other things without once having to verify my identity. Now, you might say, SK, you need to register and confirm your age in order to actually gamble, and you're not wrong. I'm not saying you should have to scan your face to look at some odds. You could walk down any high street in the UK, find a betting shop, and see the odds on a football match or whatever. It is nonetheless hard to justify, given the law is being interpreted in a way that means totally legal activities like listening to music with a swear word in it or trying to find support for addiction are now being made harder to do by this, especially in light of how close the Labour Party is to the gambling lobby. If you remember a lot of those really nasty right-wing Labour MPs from the 2010s, a lot of them ended up with the gambling lobby. I'm not accusing anyone of anything, it's just kind of interesting, isn't it? Even if we extend this to adult content, I can't browse that content with anywhere near as much freedom as I could if I was looking up the odds on Filipino basketball, which I'm sure is very entertaining, it's just not my thing. Even if we wanted to comply with the law's requirements to provide ID or other age verification like a face scan, which I'm not sure if you're watching at this point you do want to do, there are a number of issues. For one, the individual platform is responsible for picking out a third party or creating their own process to verify this, which has created a new captive market for data processing. And there's no guarantee that these companies will be secure with our data, especially if their local laws compel them in some fashion to store data for a fixed period. It would be one thing if the onus was on the government to provide the verification. Say there was like a .gov.uk platform where you scanned your passport and it granted you access on every website. This would still be bad because it would tie your, IP address or your specific accounts, which are then tied to your physical ID, meaning all it'd take is a government data leak and suddenly every anime avatar account is outed to everyone. And these government data leaks happen surprisingly often in the UK, often with a laptop being left on a train or something. So it's not a minor concern, even in this idealized hypothetical. This is nothing short of a nightmare. While entities outside the UK and EU are required to comply with GDPR, provided the information originates in these regions, do we trust a platform called Kids Web Services, which is being used by Blue Sky for age verification, to handle our data? I'm not alleging anything specific about them, but just the name and look of it alone makes me question whether they're going to handle it properly. As PC Gamer, and yeah, I know, I didn't realize they were still a thing either, points out, there's a pretty big risk here, detailed in their article about this. More worryingly still, the possibility for massive illegal data collection through spoofed websites or age assurance pop-ups, those made to look authentic but are not. A user may be misled to uploading their ID passport or provide a facial scan to a system that is designed to steal that information and leverage it against the user through identity theft or blackmail. And I would suggest blackmail is definitely a risk here, and if you're not worried about blackmail, then tell me what you looked up on your last incognito or private browser session. If you won't tell me, then you probably understand why this is a catastrophe waiting to happen. Which does bring me to the crux of why this is really concerning to me and probably to you, which is that this is transparently about remodeling the internet and policing the behavior of law-abiding adults in the context of the long-running disputes over the role of social media and the general public in politics. This can't really be seen as anything other than a step towards tying real identities to people's online presence. I did a video a long time ago, as I mentioned, about online anonymity. And one of the things that emerged when I was doing that was just how dangerous it is to force people's identities to be tied to their online presence this way. To even allow the possibility, whether through a spoof or a scam or through a data leak, or even a future law that builds on this. It risks ruining lives, all for no real gain in online safety other than for MPs and journalists who want to contact people's bosses because they called them a helmet on X.com or on Blue Sky. When you see the consequences of handing big tech this sledgehammer, the censorship, the dissonant results, the chilling effect it has on expression, an assault is currently taking place on multiple fronts against expression. I would point out particularly LGBTQ plus expression at the moment. Frankly, we have an obligation to stand up to this. This is all part of the same whole. These are not unintended consequences. They are very much intended consequences. The restrictions on expression and on free speech in the name of safety that isn't even being delivered is intolerable. Even if safety was being delivered, it would still be intolerable, especially when combined with how facile the political dialogue has been on this. One of the things that stood out is just how pathetic the lines of argument in favor of this have been. In particular, the excuses that have been made. I just can't stop thinking about that government source who complained about how tech companies were interpreting the law. If a law is unclear, that's your fault as the government. You handed the tech companies a sledgehammer and they're using it because of course they are. It's just pathetic from a majority government, or really any government at all. And I hate this sense that they were powerless. They knew when the law was coming into force. They were in opposition when the law was passed. They had every opportunity to challenge it and change it, and they didn't. So it sucks to suck, I guess. Then I returned to that Emily Darlington article, making up a complete fan fiction where none of the things she catastrophizes about is prevented by the act she was trying to defend. It's actually insulting how badly she does here. I'll have a link to her post where she made the article available, but it's illiterate nonsense, and it speaks to how embarrassing this really is, that she's not even the one who comes off the worst in this entire situation. Peter Kyle, whose name I am trying desperately not to make fun of here, he wanted to be front and center in this discussion and accused Nigel Farage and opponents of this law of being on the side of predators like Jimmy Savile. Jess Phillips, the Rent-A-Gob MP, also repeated this. Where Labour gets the brass neck to make this kind of accusation, I don't know. You'd think if you were in a party led by Keir Starmer, they'd be telling you never mention Jimmy Savile, especially given the number of people who have credible accusations against them in their own party. This isn't just insulting to the victims of Jimmy Savile, it betrays a worrying misunderstanding of how he got away with what he did. He did all of his crimes prior to the wide proliferation of the internet. He wielded his celebrity status and his connections with the British establishment, including the royal family, to get away with his crimes. How would the Online Safety Act have prevented that? It's only the miracle of Peter Kyle's accusation being met with one of the most poorly produced demands for an apology we've ever seen that saved the government from total humiliation here.
So, Mr. Kyle, can I have an apology, please?
That's not to say that Nigel Farage is the good guy here or that there aren't cynical actors.
Yeah,
The government should just make the case for what's happening under the law they were happy to implement. The purpose of the system is what it does, so the government should defend that. The censorship, the monitoring, the security risks, all of it. If they can't, and they resort to slandering anyone who uses a VPN as putting children's safety at risk, then fuck them. They clearly know this law is indefensible. What can we actually do about this? The petition is going to be rejected. If a date for the debate is set, email your MP and ask them to attend, or at least state their position in a reply to you. A lot of MPs are sitting on wafer-thin majorities, and the political system is in upheaval. They will be particularly sensitive to pressure, and even if your MP disagrees with you, tell them to go to the debate, because it will give you good material to use against them at the next election. Otherwise, you're smart enough to know how to get around these things, and you don't need me to encourage you. I think about a piece of advice my dad would give me whenever I called him while I was at uni. Be good, but if you can't be good, be safe. I think it's very applicable here, and I'll catch you all on the next video. Peace. So, I need to thank my proofreader who once again read this on the night. Thank you to her. And I would also like to say, if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, subscribe. Tell me about the worst way that the Online Safety Act has impacted you. I'm really interested to hear about that. Maybe we could do a follow-up where I dunk on it again.
I am now scared that I'm going to lose my platform. That's how it thankfully hasn't happened yet. Good for that. I am still here, comrades, don't worry. And if need be, I will change my language. I'll need to come up with inventive euphemisms now, won't I? Good thing I'm Scottish. Let us check. Let us check after this.
Again, if there's a lot of good comments in that regard. But I also want to thank the patrons and members who have really stuck by me. I've not really felt myself recently. Some of you will be privy to that, some of you won't be, but I've really not felt like myself recently, which is why there's been a lack of videos. Thank you to the patrons and members, and of course to all of you who are already subscribed for sticking with me through that. It's just been a terrible couple of months for me, and I've not been myself, and I'm starting to find my way back. But I want to give a special shout out to the top tier patrons: Drone Riff, Mercutio, Kersley Scheider, John N, Liron, Jar Jar Muba, and Carolyn, absolute legends. And also a special shout out to our YouTube members: Nadi Jiwa, Katie Marshall, Roger Zugi, Scaly Bubble, Ben Johnson. If you want to get the videos early, if you want to vote on the topics of videos, if you want just a whole host of benefits and to just sort of know what's going on, the Patreon and the YouTube membership are there for you. Please join if you're able. If not, a like, a subscribe, a comment. Those are free and very appreciated. Thank you very much, and I will catch you all in the next video.
Thank you, SK the Crusader. Everyone, go and follow them. It is $3.99 a month to be a YouTube member, so you can get early access to the videos that he makes. So I got this. It says so it's 3 days. That's just it generally getting put onto YouTube. I got it 5 days ago. And it's been sitting waiting there for me to watch it, so I'm glad it's the first time I've seen the video. Thank you, SK. A pleasure as always. That was a good video. You can see he was a little bit more animated with this one. With his other ones, he's chill, he does all information, and his proofreader's his partner, by the way. And yes, she proofreads everything. Well done, proofreader, or person in the room. Right, let's check my one first. Or shall we check Kyle's majority? That might be quite funny. Ah, rejoice, comrades! Flow Snake is here. There he is. Oh, you're fucking shitting me. He's the same age as Super Hubby. What the fuck? Do-do-do-do. Science, innovation, and technology. Do-do-do-do. Where are we? Where it? Oh, fucking hell. 19,881. That's one of the larger majorities. Oh, don't you worry, Flo Snake. Seriously. And please tell me this fucking wanker isn't you. I'm looking at that Hoven porch slate. Please tell me you are not bloody Jessica's MP. Oh, she's Brighton. I think she lives near Hove. Oh, there's someone else you can go and check out. Jessica Kilgan-Fossard. I thought most of their majorities were under 15,000. Huh. You are a complete and utter fool, Peter Kyle. Mind you, in saying that, there is no such thing as a safe seat anymore, I would say, Maureen Burke. Oh dear God. Rejoice, comrades. My MP. Oh. Would you look at that? 4,637. I hope you get fucked in 2029. She was a former councillor, by the way. Right. Oh, she went to John Whately. Yeah, she forgot to rescind her councillor status. So she got voted in up for the general election, but she was still a councillor for a couple of months after it. You're meant to resign that before you start running, Maureen. I thought the party would have told you. So there we go. That is a small majority, in my opinion. She's already voted against some of the things that I didn't like, so delightful. So there's another reason I can email her. Okay, goodbye, Maureen Burke. Let us check this one from Evan Edinger. Lexington suggested. How are you doing, Flo Snake? Always a pleasure to see you. Take it away, Evan.
This is an annoying pop-up you've probably seen in some shape or form in the past week. In order to access this content, you're going to need to confirm your identity. Reddit, Twitter, YouTube, and even Spotify are now age-gating a lot of their content. And sadly, the UK's Online Safety Act is to blame for this, and is quickly proving to be as effective as WinRAR telling you that your free trial is over. Please pay for it. Or like a cookie pop-up telling you to accept cookies or pay. There's always a way around it, right? Most people know how to get around this, regardless of how old they are, as I'll show you later. But this goes way beyond just annoying pop-ups, because the way this law works has some serious implications for privacy, censorship, and
people within the industry told them this is not going to be in place of actual parenting. I'm not too bad actually, because I've been given tramadol weekend to deal with the leg and the knee. I finish that up next week, so next Tuesday, Wednesday or Thursday. I only got fortnight. I got 14 days of tramadol at the same pain level, the same dosage that I had before. It is taking most of the edge off, which is good. I've been advised not to walk around too much, even around the flat, which is proving interesting for bodily functions, to say the least. But yeah, this Online Safety Act it won't work in place of fucking parenting. Peter Kyle, you fucking idiot. Yeah, if you are helping the mini snakes, that is good. You are actually being a parent. obviously my sister doesn't need to worry. My nephews are both they're in their late teens, so they don't need to worry about it. They've had VPNs for fucking years. So's my middle sister. For her job, before she had to medically retire, a lot of her work, she was around the country doing things for her job, and she used a VPN when she was out and about with her laptop or her tablet. So she's had a VPN for over a decade, essentially, nearly 20 years. She's been using VPNs. So we fucking told them, people who are tech savvy, actual tech companies, you've worded it too vaguely. And people are going to be, people like myself who have these platforms, we're now in the crosshairs and we have to be very careful or we're just going to get, thanks, Lever. And it won't fucking work because VPNs exist. And fucking bring it. See if you try and ban VPNs, see what happens. Fucking morons. I do not have my VPN turned on because it makes buffering worse. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that to you. It's annoying as fuck, essentially. So I am policing myself as much as I can, not knowing what can get struck, what thing I can say, or what emotes I can commission for my streams, and other things. So, perpetual sword of Damocles hanging over my head now. That's nice. And it can strike at any fucking point. I think I know I am small enough on YouTube. Slightly over 40 subscribers. You lovely, lovely people. I love you desperately. Most of my views come on Twitch, obviously, because I've got over 350 people following me now. And a good few subscribers. People actually pay me money. And oh, fucking hell, you're close, Evan. 969,000. Nice number. You're so close to having 1 million subscribers on YouTube. Carry on, Evan.
And the future of how we browse the internet, regardless of where you live. And it's looking like the effect of this law might just be making kids less safe online. Ironic. My name is Evan Ettinger, and if you want to know what is going on and also wanted some more practical tips on using the internet in 2025 to avoid all of this nonsense, well, let's dive in. 18 million pounds. That's a lot of money. On July 25th, the UK's Online Safety Act officially kicked in. Part of this law requires certain platforms of a certain size to prove that users accessing adult or potentially harmful content are over 18. If platforms are found to not comply with this law, they're hit with a fine of up to 18 million pounds, which is why so many platforms you wouldn't expect have suddenly sprung up these pop-ups, just out of precaution. This has been done in the name of keeping children safe, which of course has never been used as an excuse for increased government surveillance, right? No, we just want to keep the children safe, as always. Let's take a look at one of these pop-ups together and see what exactly they want from us. For this example, let's say I want to look for some saucy content. I am an adult, I'm in my 30s, and right now I'm thinking of visiting r/dark jokes. Yeah, just like a bit of dark humor, what's wrong with that? Oh, well, supposedly this subreddit has been age-gated to protect the children. But you can imagine for yourself, maybe one of the more sexual subreddits is also blocked. Well, I met with this very pop-up. We need some
It's a different way of coding, and all these ones, it's older. But yeah, and it's still kind of, you can use it. But you shouldn't need to. We shouldn't be forced to go back fucking 15, 20 years in tech just to have an online life, essentially. And this is just standard people, just standard UK citizens who use the internet just to do stuff, check news, do betting like SK said earlier on, or go onto saucy sites, or certain subreddits even, or onto people's streams where you can talk and get information about shit. So yeah. So yes, delightful. My nephew's asked me this before. Said, why do we need to use this? Because the British government are fucking idiots. They're doing this to protect you. But I don't go into those sites. Yeah, but you might, or you might get targeted. They want to target my nephews. They can. They've been educated by me and their mother, obviously. My youngest sister, my little sister. She said to me when this got passed, did you know that there's parents who are better than the government? I said, yes. If you want to know more on that, or to tell the government off, email Peter Kyle. Or you can email your actual MP, who is Pete Wisher. He is SNP. You can email him if you like and say, this law is arse. Mass email to Peter Kyle might be quite fun though. I could maybe word it. We could get Kev to word it, that might be quite funny.
Information to confirm your identity. Oh, okay. So I just need to provide either my government-issued ID or a photo of my face every time I wish to look at adult content. That could never have any negative repercussions, right? Right before I'm like in the mood to bash one out, I just want to look at my face in a selfie, kind of like debate. What are you doing with your life, mate? There's going to be like a collection of just sad-looking men desperate to get their fix. Just a selfie of like, it's me, please. Please give me. Need goon. Who exactly are we giving our ID to, though? Any sort of UK regulatory body or anything? No, they've just let that up to the platforms to deal with. The UK government thought it would be actually great if you just give it to a random third-party website based in the US where there's no GDPR protections. Keeping everybody's data safe, children and adults. Reddit, for instance, uses Persona, which is a third-party company based in the USA, a country without any GDPR protections. So, in order to listen to certain songs, or read certain dark jokes, or even just scroll most of Twitter, the UK government would like you to provide your most private information to a US-based company to keep safe. Good plan. Even though we have countless examples of companies claiming to keep your data protected, how many times do I have to talk about this on this channel? They claim to keep your data protected, easily getting hacked, with all the information then being leaked on the dark web, and we're being told, oh, just trust this new company. It's fine. It doesn't matter that you're also using it to look for content that might be a little saucy. 6.5 million. That's the number of people whose data was recently leaked from the UK supermarket chain Co-op's data breach this month. Don't worry, they're keeping your data safe, guys. I mean, that was just 6.5 million people's names, addresses, phone numbers. Why not add some sexual info into the mix? That'll be sure to keep us safe online. But then again, that's not the kind of blackmail the police are usually targeting. Also this month, over 70,000 women's selfies, government IDs, and geolocations just leaked from the T app, an app supposedly designed to keep women safe. And now those same women are being targeted. Ironic and sad. And hey, it's not just these companies having the issue. The news also just broke that our very own Ministry of Defense suffered a data leak, which has caused tens of thousands of those affected to genuinely fear for their lives. Data privacy is important, even if the UK government doesn't seem to think it is. So when you're told to compromise your online privacy even further and dox yourself to a random American company, you have to ask, well, at least it's effective at keeping kids safe, right? No. My biggest problem with this law is just how ineffective it is at what it's supposedly trying to do. The least it could do is protect the children until their data is then inevitably leaked when they're older. Hopefully, when they're older at least. But no, it actually makes it so much worse. The main element of this law aims to protect children from pornographic content or content promoting self-harm or eating disorders. On the surface, that is a very noble cause. Can't argue with that. Similar to if I said, I don't think children should be struck by lightning, so therefore my solution is children shouldn't be able to go outside. I just don't want kids struck by lightning. Wait, do you? We just need to tell the kids what not to do. As we all know, when kids are told not to do something, they love listening to adults, right? They do exactly what they're told. When I was 16, I had a computer programming class in high school. Like most kids, I'd usually goof around on gaming websites in my spare time, like Miniclip or FlashPlayer.com. That is until the school system administrator banned those websites, so I never was able to visit them again at school. Just kidding. No, I just quickly Googled how to get around this and found a good proxy to use and had fun for another few weeks until the system administrator banned that proxy. But at this point, I'd found 50 different proxies to use and had later found a way to use a VPN, so I was never once really held back from doing what I wanted to do on the internet, and I was 16 years old. I think this law really goes to show just how stupid the UK government think people under 18 are, as if people under 18 couldn't possibly make any sort of value judgment until the moment of their 18th birthday. Age 17? Age 7? Very much the same in the eyes of the government. Well, except when it comes to the trivial decision of joining the armed forces. That's okay at 16. It's not really a big decision, is it? Oh, or also voting. In fact, the government just recently lowered the voting age to 16, so you're smart enough to vote, smart enough to go to war, but you're not really smart enough to spend 30 seconds going around these pop-ups. We just gotta keep you safe, kids. It just seems like the problem, kids are accessing potentially unsafe content, and the solution, everyone must provide a random third-party company from the US a photo ID and a list of your kinks. Those ideas aren't really compatible. And considering how easy it is to go around these checks either with a VPN.
Evan's in the tech industry. That's his day job. This is his side hustle, his channel. I think he still has his job, but he's in tech. That's what his degree's in. That's the reason he came over here to live. I like his setup. It's looking amazing. Your setup looks fucking amazing, Evan. Nice one. Oh, Jana's here. Oh, I gave you a shout out, as you can see, if you scroll back up a bit. I gave the channel a shout out. That's a shame. Rejoice, Shana Cranky Pants. She be back. Hello, darling. Mwah. Mod extraordinaire is here. And rejoice, Red Jester Productions. Hi, Jester. Go and follow Jester. He be brilliant. He be playing games. He does Magic the Gathering as well, like Helena. Hello, Jester. Look, a New Jerseyite who lives in the UK. We have just watched SK the Crusader about the Online Safety Act and how fucking stupid it is and how dumb Peter Kyle is, our Science, Innovation and Technology Secretary is. Peter Kyle, you are a fucking moron. The British government, everyone, doing a stellar job as always. Labour, you're going to be in for one fucking term. You're going to get fucking destroyed with any luck because you're doing this. How many different ways can we say this to you, really? Oh, just fucking end me.
Or by taking a selfie of a video game character. Yes, this literally has been happening all this week. This is so clearly a poorly thought out law. Despite coming from the US, the last 12 years of my life living in the UK have helped me to grow to appreciate the UK and EU government's more cautionary approach to protecting their citizens and their citizens' rights. Food safety, consumer rights, usually privacy rights, are so much better over here. But this law is such a poor fit, it just becomes obvious it's another uneducated attempt at surveillance under the guise of protecting the children. The UK here is saying that they'd rather put the private data of all of their citizens at risk.
Do it be healthy, Jester. Because we have seen before, he doesn't really do healthy, he does frankly, I love cheese, don't get me wrong. I'm very much a cheesehead. I like many different types of cheeses here, especially Scottish cheeses, but he puts unhealthy amounts of what I would class as plastic cheese, American cheese, just far, far too much. You're going to give yourself a coronary, Dave. You're just a few years younger than me, by the way. For more on this person, he is called Dave. His channel is called Lord of Patriarchy, and you can guess just how bad it is. He likes yelling at people. His throat is probably raw as fuck. He's just, oh god. Raptor Blue covers him sometimes. I'm trying to stay away from him. As much as I want to call him to his show when he goes live, when he opens the lines up, but I would probably just start yelling back at him, which is not productive in any way, shape, or form, really. If you want to go and check him out, I would say don't, but if you're interested, Lord of Patriarchy on YouTube. Now, age verification to watch him, that might be an idea. Yes. God. I could show that again. He used to have a different name. The Descent of Manosphere. It's a playlist that kept on fucking back in the day. And we can show War Corps if you like. Oh, sweetie. If you want, you can do a poll and we can go over and check Dave when he was called War Corps. That's probably about a decade old, that video, can you think of it?
In exchange for adding a few clicks between harmful content and the person under 18 that wants to view it. It just doesn't seem to fit. And by pushing the general populace, including those under 18, into the arms of whatever free VPN they can find, the UK government is actually increasing their online safety risk drastically. As we'll discuss later in this video, free VPNs do not really have a good track record for actually securing your data. You never know what you're gonna get. A VPN is supposed to not keep logs of your internet traffic, but some of them very much do, and that data can become incredibly valuable and fetches quite a high price on many darknet markets, and most people under 18 probably aren't going to be wanting to pay for a safer VPN.
A poll to see if anyone wants to go over and see War Corps 666 on the Descent of Manosphere on Kev's channel. Just put poll to go and see Dave. Be the easiest one to do, I guess. I will abide by what the poll says. If it's worth it.
Who would? Why would you want to pay for a VPN if there's this one that's free? I'm sure it's not that bad. For instance, you ever heard of Onavo? It was a free VPN app from 2012 that's entire pitch was helping you secure your data. Sounds great. You could hypothetically keep your private data safe and even get around those governmental guardrails on your internet access. And it was all for free. What's not to love? Well, except it was bought by Facebook in 2013, and rather than actually keeping your data safe, it rerouted every single activity it did on the internet through Facebook's servers, so Facebook could, better spy on its competitors, see exactly what you were doing, and study it. Snapchat, however, well, they encrypted their users' data, which made Facebook angry. So Zuckerberg got his team to find a way to capture everything people using the Onavo VPN were sending on Snapchat before it got encrypted, and then they used this information to steal Snapchat's IP and introduced Instagram stories right thereafter. Love a happy ending, don't you? So the effect of this law, slightly decreasing the chance someone under 18 may see some boobies in their feeds, is drastically increasing the chance that they instead experience identity theft and data harvesting. That, and there's already been multiple reports from the BBC that some news from Ukraine and Gaza have been blocked for people under 18. I guess they shouldn't have the right to be informed on what's going on in the world. That's for adults to worry about. They're just dumb kids, right? They're just dumb kids. Dumb kids that can vote. Dumb kids that can go to war. I understand we shouldn't be pushing that as much, but the idea of keeping information from people that want to look at it on the internet, it's a bit China, right? Just a little bit China. Just a little bit China. Also, it's not just that this news is being blocked from people under 18. It's also being blocked from people that are adults that don't want to dox themselves. This feels like a video in which I'm going hey guys, hurting children is bad. If you didn't see my previous video on the topic, the UK government also recently demanded that Apple build them a backdoor into iPhone and iCloud users' end-to-end encrypted messages, which itself is a hilarious request, as that's not how end-to-end encryption works. If a backdoor did exist at all, well, it would be able to be used by nefarious actors also trying to get into your phone, thus destroying everyone's online privacy around the globe, all in the name of protecting the children. Can you believe it? This sort of request just looks so embarrassing to the UK on the world stage. And the fact that Keir Starmer even tried bringing this up during trade talks this past week with the US makes this look even stupider. He might as well have asked, oh, can the US delete this embarrassing photo of me from the internet? Yeah, Yeah, cool. That's how the internet works. It shows we're a really intelligent nation that understands technology. The fact that UK Prime Minister can have a meeting with US President Donald Trump and somehow make Trump seem smart is depressing to me. Trump described the UK's
Yeah. Make it make sense. People, it won't fucking work. And if they do try to go after VPNs next, yeah, that won't work either. How many different types of VPN? Forget about the free ones for a second. There's a proliferation of fucking free VPNs you can get. I've got a free one that I don't currently have turned on because it actually affects the way I stream, glitch buffering and shit like that, which is annoying as hell to deal with. I've got enough on my plate as it is. Oh no. Yeah, he covers this stuff at times as well, and this is everyone. It doesn't really matter what their YouTube channel does now. Everyone has basically commented on this, how stupid it is. You, it won't fucking work. Obviously, you saw those 537,000. Over 500,000 British citizens have signed this, including myself, just to scrap the legislation. Just fucking bin it. You. These platforms might get overzealous and start coming after great swaths of us, just taking our channels down. And a lot of people, this is their sole job now, being content creators.
request as, quote, something that you hear about with China. Great. Now I'm agreeing with Donald Epstein Files Trump. Thanks, Keir. And even though the petition to repeal the Online Safety Act received well over 400,000 signatures so quickly, the UK government have already responded with a no. Because that's kind of what they do. And yes, I have been ragging on the UK government quite a lot in this video. It is still currently my right to free speech. Praise what they get right and criticize what they get wrong. I've scoured through the parliamentary debate archives looking for any MP or Lord to voice the obvious issues with the Online Safety Act, but there were not many. I mean, I'm sure at this point you've seen this graph showing how often people in the UK have been searching for VPN on Google. Well, now look at this one. Interesting. If you search for how often the term VPN was used in Parliament, you can begin to see why we might have a problem. It's like no one has a clue what they're doing in there. The last time the term VPN was used was well over a year and a half ago. But I mean, when we look at how they're talking about VPNs, it's not actually going to make you feel any better. I've got two examples to show you. My lords, I would like to say something very quickly on VPN. I had a discussion with some teenagers recently who were all prepared for this bill. I was quite surprised that they knew a lot about it. Just another example of the UK government being surprised that people under 18 aren't incredibly stupid and are informed about the bull that Parliament is trying to force on them. Gasp. What? Did your mother tell you this? How did you figure this out? Anyway, they said, don't worry, we figured out a way to get around it. Have you heard of a... I can't believe he said, have you heard of VPN? There's no way he doesn't know. It's not VP... Honey, are you gonna play some Nintendo? Can you go check on Google? These teenagers, they were talking to me about this hacker named 4chan. I heard VPN is this cool website. They said, don't worry, we've worked out a way around it. Have you heard of VPN? It reminded me of a visit to China, where I asked a group of students how they dealt with censorship and not being able to Google. They said, don't worry about it, and showed me VPN. It is right that they draw attention to that. There is a danger to inadvertently forcing people on the unregulated dark web and into areas they might not imagine. That is why we have to be careful and proportionate in our response. Quite a twist there, isn't it? Seems to not have any idea what he's talking about, and yet he still is like, maybe we shouldn't be pushing people towards the dark net in some regards. Thanks for trying. Your heart was in the right place. But on that point, yeah, there's a reason why you think that Chinese people using a VPN to get around their Great Firewall of China is similar to this situation. Because it is the same thing. If you try and place restrictions on people's freedoms to access the internet, when the restrictions can be easily removed with a click of a button, what made you think this law would be in any way effective? And one of the only other times the term...
I think he has actually. After this video, we can check it. We can go into Google News and just type his name in. I can't remember. Is he still an MP or is he in the other place? I can't remember. Yeah, obviously I don't agree with him on very much, but yes, with personal privacy, especially, he actually knows about this shit. Funny that. Even though it was his fucking party that wanted to introduce this, but they never did because they knew dude, the wording is too fucking big. I never knew that Eden actually went. I knew he would cover this. I didn't know he actually went and checked out the actual physical legislation. Like I said, the following what the government actually do and look at all the paperwork that you need to understand what the bill actually is, how the law can be interpreted and stuff like that. Like I keep on saying, it's a government document. It's going to be high as fuck. I will check for you people. Don't worry. You just it's not worth your time. And like I keep on saying, I've got nothing but time on my hands. Oh, thank you, Full Snake. If you do find something, you can post it in the Discord if you like.
VPN was uttered in Parliament was this. We have an amendment in this group which seeks to block access to VPNs as well. We are in danger of putting ourselves in the same position as China, with a hermetically sealed national internet, attempting to put borders around it so that nobody can breach it. I'm assured that even in China, this does not work, and that clever and savvy people simply get around the barriers that the state has erected for them. Well, thanks for trying, guy. When the idea of banning VPNs was brought up, Lord Malin seemed to have upset everybody in the House of Lords by suggesting blocking access to VPNs puts us in danger of being in the same position as China, and that these methods do not work, and that clever or savvy people simply get around the barriers. But you don't need to be clever or savvy to be able to spend 5 seconds Googling how to get around this annoying problem. This isn't 1990, where you'd have to check out books from your local library or be a super tech enthusiast. It's 2025. This just goes to show how, despite all the newer MPs coming in that might be younger and might understand a lot of how it works, most of them, most of the lords, most of the MPs, they're not quite there when it comes to modern technological issues. They might see some sort of ideological thing like protect the kids and then not have any idea how to implement that effectively, and I guess ignore every person that is an expert in the field and just go, but protect the kids? I can sense from all the debates that I've looked into that MPs and lords do realize that social media in its current form, thanks to its ever-worsening algorithms, can be a really awful place for everyone, not just children, but that people under 18 are being affected more by it. That is true, yes. But no matter how many times they say this bill is to protect children, the bill is truly just not fit for purpose. So what are you doing? But now I'm going to tell you the information that the UK government don't want you to know. How to actually protect your private data when you're online in multiple methods. One tip that I usually use is I never give my real name and my real number ever on those websites that ask for it if I don't trust them. Just provide random information. Come up with a fun, silly little name that doesn't really matter. In terms of email addresses, if you haven't already, Proton is a really good free anonymous email provider that you can use. But aside from that, I know that on iPhone and the Apple ecosystem, for instance, it's really easy to use this iCloud feature that allows you to generate a random email address to use for these websites so that you don't have to give your real information out. That is always a good tip. Also, always use an ad blocker to block malicious software from running on your computer. I personally use AdGuard, and I've made an entire video, or the second half of a video, about internet tips like that, so I recommend watching that if you haven't. Secondly, and this is something I'm so surprised that people still do, whenever you search Google, which I don't know who is still searching Google in this year of our Lord because it's so shit now, but if you are searching Google or Amazon or whatever, you need to learn to skim over the word sponsored. Do not click it. So many of these results now are just sponsored. And you might say, well, Evan, what if that's what I actually want? What if I actually want what's in the sponsored link? How do you know that? You don't actually know what's in that sponsored link because Google has just accepted whoever's given them the most money. You don't actually know if that's what you want because Google has gone through so much enshittification at this point that there's a very strong chance it is actually a harmful website that is trying to look like the website that you want. Google is more than happy to accept advertising money from these scam websites in exchange for putting these scam websites at the top of your search results so that you click them first. There have been numerous stories of this happening, and there are entire YouTube channels dedicated to showing this sort of thing. And it happens from people searching for the phone number for their bank, or maybe the phone number for customer support for their computer, only to click on the first link, which they assumed was safe, because it's Google, right? But that first link is just a scam farm run out of somewhere in India, and it all seems so legitimate that you find yourself giving your financial details to a guy about to drain your entire bank account. Listen, I know it's annoying, but you just need to be more proactive about never clicking on sponsored posts. If they're not blocked by AdBlock or AdGuard or your Brave browser or whatever, then you just need to learn to skim past them without consuming the content and only click on what you're actually looking for that no one has paid to put in front of you. In the rare event I see an ad and it surprisingly is something I'm interested in, I always type the content of the ad in manually in an incognito window so the advertiser has less of a chance of knowing I had any interest in their product. Also, I'm hoping to make a video in the future about my tips for using ChatGPT for this purpose, because at the moment, I find it to be the best possible thing to get your search results that you actually want. Because Google has become such a pile of the last couple of years that unless you like spending 10 minutes of your time sifting through AI slop and advertisements, well, I feel like you just have to use AI as a tool to cut through. Like fighting fire with fire. If that is a video you're interested in, please leave me a comment. Also, I know you think it's easier and more convenient and doesn't really matter, but please, for the love of God, do not use SMS or text messages or even email for your two-factor authentication. It is great that you have turned it on to better secure your account. You know, so a user needs both your password and your phone to log into your account. But it is so much easier than you think to spoof text messages and to get your telecom provider to change your SIM card so an attacker can easily get your code texted to them instead. And then there goes your account and whatever else is inside of it. And if you're ever using the same password across multiple sites, the risk of someone successfully getting into your account is so much higher. Just use the Google Authy app or Apple's built-in two-factor authentication to generate a code. You download the Authy app, you scan the QR code when enabling two-factor authentication, and you're secure. Now, if anyone does get your login information from some sort of data leak, they won't be able to access your account without that one app on your specific phone. It's just a no-brainer. This is a modern internet router. I feel like a lot of problems could be prevented if more people knew how their devices actually worked. If you ever wanted to know more about how this works or how a VPN actually works, well, let me explain that to you while talking about today's video sponsor, NordVPN. How convenient. Let's say you click to visit youtube.com. Your device sends a signal to your router, which goes to your modem. Sometimes the router and modem are packaged together these days, but either way, this goes to your internet service provider or ISP. There are some steps I'm skipping here, but I'm trying to keep it simple. Your ISP then uses all the information it can get from your device to better locate you as it attempts to connect you to the closest server that houses the data you're looking for. In your case, this is to load YouTube, and your IP address is broadcast publicly so that YouTube knows where to send the data back to. Who wants to visit YouTube? This IP address. Now, at this point, most websites like YouTube use HTTPS, so the connection back to your device is encrypted. But your ISP, on the other hand, they're constantly keeping logs of every site you connect to and every IP address connected to you. When your ISP delivers you data from a server located within the UK, the data from there must adhere to UK law, no matter how Orwellian. But when you first connect to a VPN, like NordVPN, your request to visit youtube.com is instead encrypted from your device first, as it flows to your ISP, who then route that connection to NordVPN, who carry on fulfilling your request. Your ISP can only see that you've requested to access one of NordVPN's servers and everything else is kind of scrambled to them. Unlike your ISP, NordVPN is not keeping or sharing logs of your IP addresses. In the case of the Online Safety Act, connecting to Reddit without a VPN sends back one of Reddit's UK servers, meaning it must have the adult content blocked behind those silly ID pop-ups. But if you choose to connect to one of NordVPN's over 7,000 servers around the world, let's say Germany, well, you're instead routed to the Reddit server located there, where their government hasn't yet attempted to violate the privacy of their citizens. Not yet. And yes, this is a sponsored section of the video, so take that with what you will, but not every VPN is equal in terms of speed, and not every VPN is equal in terms of privacy. And with this new law, I'm probably going to end up using NordVPN a lot more than usual just to freely access the internet. So if you'd like to sign up to be able to access the internet again, without needing to dox yourself at least, sign up at nordvpn.com/Evan and you get a huge discount on a 2-year plan. Thanks NordVPN for sponsoring. Let me wrap this up. Here's an interesting thought. Look at this chart. Everyone in the UK has been downloading VPNs this past week to change their browsing location. Look at that spike. I can only wonder if the UK passing this law will actually cause a significant dent in UK-based businesses. If you think about it, UK companies are targeting UK internet users to advertise to them, but all of a sudden, the UK users they're trying to reach are pinging servers in a different country, so they have way fewer people to market to. So the UK government isn't just trying to make its citizens' lives harder here in the name of protecting children, it's also making it way harder for UK businesses to succeed. Tale as old as time. And hey, I heard MPs are very easy to contact, so if this is something you disagree with, maybe spend a couple minutes contacting your MP about this matter. I'll leave a link in the description so you can find your local and maybe sound off. My prediction, though, doesn't take rocket scientists to say, we'll see another big data leak at some point in the near future, and we'll all be told, well, there's no way we could have seen this coming. Can we have a back door, please? Just to keep you safe. Can we have a back door, please? Can we have a back door, please? Please let us spy on our citizens more, please. Please. It's to protect the children, please. That's it. It's a wrap.
Oh, yes, I was going to read that. Give me a second. Let's check this one out, David Davis. Oh, God, he's still an MP. Let's see, let me. Um, uh, fucking hell, 4 years old. I'm not checking Spike, piss off. That was this year. Okay. Oh, no. Did that one last night. Can remove you. And I can remove you as well. Well, he mentioned it when they were still in power in 2021, so that would have been. That been Boris? That probably would have been Boris PM. Yeah, this was their legislation, by the way. Funny that if Labour's still carrying on with some of the fucking arse policies that they wanted to implement, but they never done it. The Tories didn't want to do this. It is going to be unworkable. Cool, Jester. Nice one. Feel free to pop back in every now and again if you wish, as always. Yeah, I know. Fiber hidden. Got taken down by the creator. Where is it? That's not it. File Explorer. That's there. Oh my God. Thank you, Jester. Oh, Christ's sake. Okay. Kev already covered this earlier on. I just wanted everyone else to see it and hear it in my lovely voice. Operation Restoring Justice. Our plan to deport all illegal migrants in the UK and secure our borders. Yeah, put it in, suppose it be classed as far-right wankery. I assume you are on my Discord, Jester. Give me a minute, I'll do the link. I haven't done my link yet. Give me a second. Do. Oh, I forgot about that. Note to women server. Invite. Copy link. Ta-da! Link to the Naughty Women server. Feel free to join. There is lots of channels now. It's still kind of basic. It is an ongoing project to make the Discord look a lot better, make it more interactive, so people can use it on a daily basis if they wish. For 3 decades, successive governments have promised to get tough on illegal immigration, yet the estimated population of people with no lawful right to remain in the UK now almost certainly stands above 1 million. Evidence, please. Thank you. Their continuing presence corrodes the rule of law. I don't believe it does. Costs billions in accommodation and welfare costs they cannot access benefits. Distorts low-wage labour markets, capitalism, thank you, and signals to the world that Britain's borders are open. What the? Oh, fucking hell. God damn it, that is the name of a channel on my Discord. I will need to change the moderation again and allow wankery. No, they are not open. Oh, God. To claim asylum, they physically have to be here in this country, by the way. Operation Restoring Justice is Reform UK's answer, a 5-year emergency programme intended to identify, detain and deport illegal migrants in the UK. Why do I keep hearing unworkable and Labour in the same sentence? Because they keep on doing fucking stupid legislation. Funny that. This legislation is unworkable. This legislation will be unworkable. Like Helena said earlier on, the Taliban are with Nigel Farage in this. Oh, fucking hell. Manfrog, you are a monster. Fuck off. Please, Jeremy and Zara, get this party set up quick so we can start countering fucking narrative coming from Reform. Okay, Operation Restoring Justice is Reform UK's answer, a 5-year emergency programme intended to identify, detain and deport illegal migrants in the UK, and to deter any future build-up by demonstrating that unlawful presence now has an ironclad consequence: swift removal. Where to, Nigel? Thank you. The plan combines an uncompromising legal reset. The Supreme Court still exists, with national-scale enforcement through a new UK deportation command. Thank you. And a relentless foreign policy campaign. Brilliant. Illegal migrants will be detained and deported. Again, to where? On a net basis, the programme will save the taxpayer tens of billions over the next decade. Evidence. And hundreds of billions over the next several decades. What do you think you're going to be in power that fucking long? The gross implementation cost will be 10 billion over 5 years. But the current status quo already burns through 7 billion per year, excluding many hidden costs, such as the burden on the NHS. Migrants work in the NHS. The net saving during the first 5 years of a reform government will thus be over 7 billion. No, it won't. This expands to 42 billion over the first decade. Again, evidence, please. A reform government will show unflinching resolve to ensure that deportations are prioritised. Will eliminate any open-ended drain on the exchequer and re-establish border sovereignty, which underpins every other area of policy. On this foundation, Britain can build to become secure, prosperous and powerful again. You're going to sell it to the Americans, Nigel. Will not be prosperous and powerful again. Oh. Look everyone, the White Cliffs of Dover. Here we go. Upon winning a general election, not if I still fucking exist, a reform government under Prime Minister Nigel Farage, I feel dirty saying that, will 1. Leave the ECHR. We're not allowed human rights. Delightful. Repeal the Human Rights Act and replace it with a British Bill of Rights. What are you going to put in that? Pass the Illegal Migration Mass Deportation Bill. This bill will create a legal duty to remove illegal migrants for the Home Secretary. The bill opens with a blunt obligation for the Home Secretary. The Secretary of State shall ensure the removal from the United Kingdom of each person who does not have extant leave to remain and is not an Irish citizen or otherwise protected by regulations made under this Act. The following parts of the legislation are introduced on an emergency basis with an inbuilt sunset clause after 5 years. Disapply the 1951 Refugee Convention, the UN Convention Against Torture, the Council of Europe Anti-Trafficking Convention, or ECAT. Derogation is justified under the Vienna Convention doctrine of state necessity. Britain faces a national emergency in which uncontrolled illegal migration undermines public order. No, it doesn't. These treaties will otherwise be used by activist judges. What are those? to frustrate deportations even after repeals of the Human Rights Act and the ECHR. No human rights for us. Well, that's what I was going to look up. Create detention power without Hardale-Singh constraints. This means illegal migrants can't be detained until they are deported. Activist lawyers routinely use Hardale-Singh to secure their client's bail, after which the client absconds. Evidence? If you came to the UK illegally, you're ineligible for asylum again. You physically have to be in the UK to apply for asylum. End of story. No, it isn't. All asylum claims will become inadmissible if made by a person within the Act's scope. If you came to the country illegally, you are ineligible for asylum in the UK. This strips the Home Office, the immigration tribunals, and the higher courts of jurisdiction to even consider claims. They will need to have a majority that is currently bigger than what Labour have just now to get that passed. A claim that cannot be considered cannot suspend removal and therefore cannot delay a flight. Re-entering after deportation and destroying ID becomes a serious criminal offence. These people do not have legal documentation most of the time because they are fleeing persecution, war, or other sorts of things that are happening in their country. Re-entry after deportation will become a criminal offence. They will have to be very specific in the wording for this because they are British nationals who are in foreign jails, and if they try to enter, even though they are British born, they might get caught up in this legislation as well, I believe. I will need to check that, but it is certainly an aspect to think about if you get the wording of this legislation incorrect. It will become a criminal offence to deliberately destroy your identity documents. Both offences will be punishable by up to 5 years. Delightful. Lifetime re-entry ban. Everyone deported will be banned from re-entering for life. My throat is killing me. I'm not reading this anymore. Fucking hell. I will just read the highlighted parts here. We will create an enforcement unit called UK Deportation Command. Delightful. Including an illegal migrant identification centre harnessing cutting-edge data fusion. You want now? Secure immigration removal centres will be built rapidly to detain up to 24,000. Initial voluntary return window, which basically means if you want to leave, we'll give you money to fuck off to where? Deportation flights. They went so well under the Rwanda scheme. Returns agreement. I think I will actually read this one out. As Prime Minister, Manfrog will ensure the Foreign Office makes its highest priority the securing of returns agreements with all relevant countries. to take back their illegal migrants. Consulates will also be required to send staff to assist in identifying illegal migrants. Countries of origin are triaged into 3 diplomacy tracks based on current diplomatic relations. A carrot and stick approach will be used. You mustn't believe it when I see it. Aid will be offered as an incentive. The stick will involve the cessation of visa approvals and potentially sanctions. How many sanctions these people who probably won't have much money or have like no money as well. Third country partners. The Foreign Office will rapidly negotiate deals with third countries, and the budget has been allocated for this. British overseas territories also offer a strategic fallback. Ascension Island's isolated airfield can handle an A330 aircraft, enabling rapid transfer of channel arrivals. This is delightful, isn't it? Conclusion. Reforms plan that delivers a transformative legislative reset that ensures those here illegally will be deported at unprecedented speed and scale. The savings to the British taxpayer, stop fetishising us, you bastards, will be over $7 billion in the first term of a reform government. Evidence for that, please. And over $42 billion over a decade. Again, evidence for that, please. Pressure on public services will be eased. What, so you're going to fund the NHS and other public services better than the current Labour government or any previous government, come to think of it, since her? The United Kingdom will once again be a sovereign nation. We already are. With total control over its borders. We already have that. And the rule of law will prevail. In that restored sovereignty lies the foundation of the country's next chapter, one in which Britain is secure, prosperous, and powerful again. Please, just end me. Put me out of my fucking misery. Let us check this story. Let us see. Down we go. To Mad Cat. Farley Twinkly. Oh. Monuments to misinformation. Okay. How many people are here? Hello, Twitch comrades. Hello. Hello, YouTubers. Hello, YouTube people. Right. Monuments. Oh. Misinformation.
The March for Australia rally has been unavoidable in the online politics space. It's been sold as a silent majority march where the everyday Aussie will finally get their voice heard. But that's not really the whole picture. Now, depending on whether you use TikTok or Twitter, your impression of this event is going to be dramatically different. If you're on TikTok, you need to be worried. This might be the next Cronulla riots or Charlottesville. And if you're on Twitter, well, you're hoping it's going to be the next Cronulla riots or Charlottesville. I want to be exceptionally clear. I don't believe the vast majority of people going to this event are overt racists or really racist at all. These are struggling people who feel neglected and are really being used as political cannon fodder by people who have an agenda to push and are trying to gain political power. Let's also get something obvious out of the way. Yes, immigration does in fact impact housing, but it doesn't seem to be the dominant factor. People just like to use it as a scapegoat for their own political gain, and this event is really a clear example of that. So what is the point of this video? Well, a huge amount of people have taken issue with this event being called racist. So let's actually unpack it all. The birth of this event is a little murky. It seems that some 18-year-old kid took offense to someone burning the Australian flag during the March for Palestine and posted some TikToks about a pro-Australia march and just threw out the 31st as a random date. The TikToks blew up and a bunch of conservative creators started reaching out to see what they could do to make this happen. A small group of organizers was formed, with the kid eventually palming it off because it became way too much for them to handle. Whilst initially anonymous, we now know who the woman who took over this event was, and she goes by the moniker Beck Freedom, a freedom movement character from the COVID lockdown years. You might think that would actually be beneficial for the March to Australia. They can now sell this as, this freedom of speech, freedom of expression type of event, rather than the racially motivated one people keep trying to put on them. Time and time again, we have heard that this event has nothing to do with race. It's only mass immigration. Well, what's this then?
So you can't bend the knee, because I said this in my post. The two major cohorts are the boomers and the migrants now. So young white people, even if you're in your 30s, even 40s, right, you're being outnumbered by everyone. So it can't happen.
100%. I think, look, the messaging, we just need to, and look, I understand why some people are saying, oh, it's not about race. Though people like that, they're scared.
Yeah.
But if we break it down, this is how I tried to explain it to somebody. I said, okay, so protect Australian heritage, culture, way of life. Next step, protect European culture, heritage, way of life. The next step is protect white heritage. So it all means the same thing. It's just different ways to put it. Australian heritage, by saying it that way, it is more appealing to the public. It's going to deter them from saying, oh, it's a Nazi rally, blah, blah, blah. That's all it means. Australian is white, is European white. Like it's I don't understand. I think the problem. Put it down.
Holy fuck, right. Okay. I'm going to need food for this one. I will be back momentarily, comrades. Two to 3 minutes. I will not be long.
It'll be
Oh, so this is about keeping Australia white. That sounds pretty racially motivated to me. But nevertheless, even if it is about, you know, keeping Australia white, at least she's like ideologically a pacifist.
The reason I'm saying I feel it needs to happen is because we need violence. I'm sorry, but we need fucking violence. We've done peaceful. Peaceful hasn't done shit. I don't think that anything significant is going to change unless something like that does happen again. And it's just the facts. Like, it's until we stand up and do something like that day, I think that it's just going to be repeating.
I don't know about you. That makes me worry about this staying a peaceful protest, when this is the type of messaging that may be drawing people in. Look, it doesn't help March for Australia that the NSN have become fairly invested in this march. You know, the NSN, Australia's modern day Nazis. Not the say something edgy online kind of Nazi, the self-admitted kind.
The Australian public are going to have to accept Hitler in their hearts, in their schools. They're going to have to accept Hitler. We're not going to disown Hitler. They're going to accept Hitler.
Beck herself has posts that show sympathy, or at least indifference, to the NSN. Both Thomas Sewell and Joel Davies, leaders and figureheads of the Nationalist Socialist Network, have made the following statements on their telegrams about the event, with supporters of theirs backing the event strongly. The NSN seem to be a core group online, supporting, advertising, and really successfully co-opting this event, with March for Australia not really doing anything to stop that from happening. If March for Australia had really denounced the NSN, that would be one thing. You know, the overlap between those who don't like immigration and who are incredibly racist, there's a strong overlap there. But not only have they not explicitly denounced the NSN, in my opinion, they've borderline welcomed them in. All March for Australia has said is that the organisers weren't members or acting on behalf of any group. But that's it. It seems that March for Australia is fine for the NSN to be a core part of this march, as long as it stays being anti-immigration, not pro-NSN. When you're at worst knowingly, or at best passively inviting Nazis to walk alongside you, I feel like you really lose the right to complain when people start calling your event racist. One of the other individuals we know is connected to this event is Ozpil Hugo Lennon. Ozpil became very well known for his anti-mass immigration content, and has even given me the tick of approval.
So I have been on TikTok for like, a long time, and for the whole time I've been on TikTok, I get recommended your videos. And like, they're good rants. I like your tags. I think you've got a nice sort of view on things. You aren't too hard to either side. You're pretty reasonable.
Yeah. Thank
so
you.
I've always liked your tags.
I don't know what to make of that glowing recommendation now, but hey, he likes what I have to say, and in my opinion, this event's probably racist. So do what you want with that. Ozpil Hugo Lennon has spent a significant amount of time during his online career attempting to shift the focus of the housing crisis almost solely onto mass immigration. And I think it makes a lot of sense for the son of a property developer to try and make Australians blame anyone but those who probably do things up for us. Ozpil Hugo Lennon is the son of Anthony Lennon, an individual on the board of directors for Peat Limited, a development company that engages in land banking, the process of holding empty homes to ensure the price of housing never goes too low. It seems to be the case that Peat has around 30,000 homes land banked. I wonder how much that impacts the housing market compared to your average immigrant coming in. Some try and argue that this shouldn't mean anything, that if anything, it's actually way more heroic that someone from the upper class is, helping the lowly people impacted by mass immigration. Except for the fact that 1, these people have never heard of the term scapegoats. 2, I am unaware of Ospil Hugo Lennon ever actually commenting on land banking or talking about how property developers and property development in this country can take advantage of the everyday Australian. And 3, we can't even be sure Ospil Hugo Lennon actually believes anything he said.
So I'm obviously very extreme in the idea that I'm trying to really paint immigration as one of the key driving forces. Whereas yourself, you're probably a lot more realistic in saying that it's a combination and a layer of policy which favours an ever increasing and ever growing property value.
And if you still aren't convinced, you want to try and justify this by saying, well, just because the event organizers are, cooked in one way or another, it was meant to be this grassroots community-based movement. So the meaning or the intention might have morphed, and now it really is just the everyday Australian taking an interest in the event and wanting to come along to show pride for the flag and an end to mass immigration. Well, it's a bit of an issue when the website itself, where people had to go to find out information, had re-immigration as one of its goals temporarily. For those unaware, re-immigration is the idea of non-violent ethnic cleansing and bringing the white ancestors back to their homeland. Again, this was only temporary, so it is possible that most people haven't seen this, which is why way at the beginning of the video I said I don't believe the vast amount of people talking about or engaging with this event are racist. But it is worrying that that was one of the goals on the website for a while. And that doesn't really help refute that this isn't a racist rally argument. So hey, people can take issue with anyone calling this a racist rally, but if I'm being honest, that's probably a kinda title for what this event actually seems to be. The full picture looks pretty bad. There is now a counter march organized, and I pray to God that no one gets hurt or worse. For the everyday punter, right, if you find this video, it's your choice whether you think that the movement as a whole is worth standing alongside the people who are extremists, the people that you feel like don't actually represent you. Because I know a lot of people really did just want this rally to be a pro-flag, pro-Australia, reduce the amount of immigration, right? And even if I disagree with the evidence for those claims, I understand that a lot of people are genuinely hurting and they just want a way to express their beliefs. But this event doesn't seem like the right place to do it, because in my opinion, with the evidence I have found, the people involved with this event are really not the people who represent Australia, who really do love this country, right? They love this idealized whites-only version of the country. And that's not what this country is or what it should be. Whoever you are, whatever you're doing, just stay safe on August 31st. Because in my opinion, there is a real chance something could go wrong. But hey, come join the Discord, come talk about it, come say hi, come let me know what you think in the comments, like and subscribe, check out the other stuff. It's been real.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Jester. Much appreciated. Fucking Nazis everywhere. Holy fuck. I watched it. I'm not going to subject you to it. Oh god, I can't anyway. Yeah, we're not going to. We're not going to show Destiny on my stream. Fuck off. Not doing it. No. Am I done? I think I may be done for the night. I've been going for 3 hours. I think I've done some good work tonight. Yeah. Okay. Let's see who we can lead. Twitch, please. Polymetal Ferret, The Burb That Doodles, Amy, Ray K, Segway Films, Carla's Wife, Nothing But Nolan. Oh, Real Rad Hom. Let us see, who else? Gypsies, Squiddeer, Yala. Who else? Who is this? Kid Not Kin. P. Dennis. Politichu. Mordogan. Hazafield. Let's do some cloud chasing. How long's Maple been going for? Give me a second, everyone. He's been going for 2 hours.
2023, Israeli forces have confiscated nearly $6 million from these businesses.
The excuse usually given by Israeli occupation forces is that those, in particular, those exchange businesses are linked to transferring money to terrorist organizations. That's how they refer to. But I think it's also important to remember that under Israel,
confiscate is newspeak for steal. Yeah, I mean this is a thing that fascists do everywhere. Look at the United States. Look at the amount of money that is civilly civil forfeiture, fucking stolen from people because the cops are like, I have a reason to believe that you got this illegally. Yeah. Did you see the RCMP is voting this week on whether to put Canadian IOS soldiers on trial? It's been a call to action to contact MPs. I did not see that more talk, but if you got anything I can share, I'll share it for sure. Yeah. Stealing. Look at this. Civil asset forfeiture. There you go. Video documents Israeli soldiers stealing large sums of money from a registered Palestinian exchange shop during today's raid in the city of Ramallah. Look at this.
I'll take this off for a second. Just hold this here so you can still hear me.
Look at this.
Thank you, everyone. It has been a pleasure. I will be back later today. It is currently 3:04
counting
a.m.
and stealing
here in Glasgow.
Yeah.
I will be back midnight-ish.
They confiscated $700 for me because I was crossing state
And
lines and they pulled me over with cash. Clearly, I was doing something illegal. Yeah, it's fucked, dude.
I will show you the extension islands.
$700 do you think they put
show you how
into
fucking daft it is
evidence
by
collection?
command on them.
Nothing.
Stay hydrated.
Not just the last fortune, it was also the U.S.
Self-care.
government seizing money from
Eat your
Afghanistan and
meds.
Iran, despite what you think of them, Russia. 100%.
Stay based.
Yeah.
Catch you later.
Yo, Timo, thank you for the 55, man. I appreciate it.